Hello everyone, my name is Liam and welcome to a replay of the final of the Ticket to Ride Europe tournament we held on Board Game Arena a few weeks ago. This pretty much happened at the same time as the Carcassonne tournament, which I already uploaded the replay of earlier. I just haven't gotten around to filming the replay of the Ticket to Ride final, but here we are, let's finally do it. So this was a Ticket to Ride Europe final, hotly contested, of course. And we're basically just going to watch the final here and comment on it and see what happens. So yeah, let's get into it. We are playing from the perspective of Chicken Duck. Chicken Duck is the red player. Basically, you can't spectate from a neutral perspective in replays. You have to pick a player, so I just picked Chicken Duck. They're starting with Palermo to Moscow as their long ticket, and then they can choose between a few others. For me, personally, we'll see what they do. But I think, for me, Palermo to Moscow is... It's a pretty good long ticket, because the other four long tickets generally cross over each other a bit in the middle when you go through Paris to Berlin. Whereas Palermo to Moscow, as a long ticket, it's way out on its own. So it's pretty good to just keep it. And generally, I think you should just keep whatever long ticket you get, you should just keep it. Otherwise, you're fighting an uphill battle in terms of getting points. In terms of the others, Barcelona to Brussels is way out of the way. Probably wouldn't keep it. Frankfurt to Smolensk, I would probably keep that. Either make a big giant C or a backwards C, depending which way you go, and make that one long route from Moscow to Palermo, and then tie it in with Frankfurt to Smolensk. London to Vienna. That could probably just be an extension of the C before. So for me, if I was playing, I'd probably take Palermo to Moscow, Frankfurt to Smolensk, London to Vienna or Vienne, and I'd try and make a big C from Palermo up through Vienna over to London and then over across to Moscow. That's probably what I'll do, but we'll see what Chicken Duck chooses to do. We obviously won't be able to see what tickets the other players are choosing, so we'll just sort of have to guess what they're doing along the way. So let's get into it. Let's change these settings a bit. Alright, so next move. So they kept Palermo to Moscow, Frankfurt to Smolensk, which is what I said. They just haven't opted for that extra London to Vienna risk. So we'll see how it plays out. As I said, don't know what the other players have picked. Now, Ticket to Ride games, especially online, the first part, there's not much to watch because generally everyone's just hoarding up cards. It can take a while for anyone to actually start placing stuff down. So let's rapid fire through some of these moves until someone actually starts placing a train down. Because other than people drawing cards and guessing what colours they're going for, there's not really much to talk about. But while I rapid fire through these moves, generally it's a good idea just to draw off the pile at the start of the game, because either A, you do get a rainbow locomotive from one of your two draws, great, or B, you're just hoarding up colours, and at some point you're probably going to use every colour at least once at some point. So it doesn't really matter what you get at the start of the game. Unless you're worried about something specific or a bottleneck and you specifically need that colour, then yeah, draw it from the face-up ones. So everyone's drawing cards. Drawing cards. I might skip ahead in the recording till someone actually places a train down, because when everyone's just drawing cards, there's not much to say. Because there's no... I remember what the other long tickets are, and 4 of the 5 long tickets, or are there 6? I think there's 6 long tickets, and 4 of them are going to be in the game. So, there we go. So we've had Morka, the purple player, throw down... Alright, we've had Morka, the purple player, throw down the black route from Edinburgh to London. I'm pretty sure that ticket is Edinburgh to Athena. I think it's Edinburgh to Athena. So they'll be looking to cut down through Central Europe, probably down through Italy. but depending what else they've got, they might swing around through Berlin and go down through Central Europe over here, or Eastern Europe as they call it. So we'll see what the others work towards. Now, it's also important to remember it's a 4-player game, so you can use the double routes in 3-player games or 2-player games. Once someone uses one of the routes, the other one is off limits. But it's a 4-player game, so double routes are open. So everyone's still collecting cards. We'll see who makes the next move. Still just collecting cards. While we're here collecting cards, anyone watching, let me know in the comments what your favourite Ticket to Ride map is, if you've got a favourite. Mine is the Ticket to Ride Europe's probably my second favourite map. I'd say my favourite Ticket to Ride map is the Great Lakes and the Rails and Sails pack. It's a good one. And so our red player Ching Duck's turned down the 6th length between Palermo to Smyrna, which is obviously important. It looks like they're going to go the eastern route up to Moscow and then hopefully swing over to Frankfurt. But 6 length train worth a lot of points, so it's a good choice to go that way. Generally, whatever routes you choose to do, it's best to use the longest routes you can to get there, because they're just worth more points. Morka, the purple, has thrown down Athena to Brindisi, which is obviously going to help for their long route up to Edinburgh. But what it is doing is showing their hand. I'm not sure how aggressive these players are going to be in terms of blocking each other's routes, but purple is showing their hand by throwing Edinburgh to London down, Athena to Brindisi down, because it makes it clear to everyone else that is the long route that they're going for. Chicken Duck has tried to do a tunnel. Where have they tried to do that? Down here, Smyrna to Angora, they tried to do a tunnel, but they will have to use an extra card, which they decide to do. Still waiting for the first train from Green and the blue player. Green is going for the big, long 8-length train up the top from Stockholm to Petrograd, but they will have to use 2 extra cards to do it, which is very unlucky. But they choose to do it anyway. They've got the cards. Good choice. If at any point in any game you can race to get this long train up the top, it's worth it. It's the biggest train in the game. You'll get the most points from it. And it also ties in well if you have the Petrograd to... I think it's Brest to Petrograd. I think that's one of the long tickets. Also just a nice extension off Stockholm to... either Cadiz or Lisboa. One of them, Stockholm to Cadiz or Lisboa. It's just a nice extension off of that. So we'll keep smashing through these turns until we get the trains getting put on the board. Everyone's just collecting up cards. Still waiting for the blue player, JB Mate, to throw something down, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you can get what you need and just throw all your cards out in one swoop and finish the game, it can work. So unless they're getting worried about getting blocked for something, you don't have to throw down trains early, except if you want to race for these big long ones. It becomes more important in 3 or 2 player games when you can only use one route of each route, because you need if you need to get to Stockholm and you miss out on even just Essen to Copenhagen, then you got to go around or use a train station to get through. But in a 4-player game, it's not as important because you got 2 options for each route. Blue players throw down their first train. They've got this 4-length one from Paris to Pamplona. So if it's a separate route, or their big long ticket will be Lisboa to Stockholm, or Cadiz to... there's... I can't remember what it is. It's Lisboa to Danzig, or... they basically go from Spain up to somewhere up here. There's about 3 different market refreshes here with the trains because of all the rainbows coming up, so that's a lot of wasted rainbows, but it looks like the deck's about to reshuffle anyway. Our red player Chicken Duck here has built up a nice supply of pretty much every colour except pink. Oh, this is going to be tricky for red player now, because green is throwing down Kharkov to Rostov. This is a big choke point, Kharkov to Rostov. It's only a 2-length train, but if you need to get from up in this Russian area down south to the bottom right part of the corner, and you were wanting to go this way, all of a sudden you either need to use a train station, or you need to go all the way around down from Kiev to Bucharest. It's a long way around. If you were wanting to go that way and you miss out, you got to go a long way around, or use a train station. And blue player throws down Paris to Brussels. So they're heading north with that one, up to the Scandinavian area. Chicken Duck is trying to do a tunnel, but we'll have to play an extra card, and they play it for Angora to Constantinople. So that's what they're doing. They're going the long way around up to Moscow. It's not really a long way around. It's about the same length of trains, but if you're wanting to go that way, you now have to go a completely different way. Green player throws down Rostov to Sevastopol. Blue player throws down Brussels to Amsterdam, so they're building up that Western Europe route. And what did we just do there? And red players throwing down Bucharest to Constantinople, so they're going to head up to Kiev next, hopefully. Morka, the purple player, is trying for a tunnel, Marseille to Roma, and they have to pay an extra card to do it, which they do so. Blue players continuing the push up towards Copenhagen, and purple is just bridging the gaps where they can from their Edinburgh to Athena long ticket. It's hard to tell at the moment what their other ticket is that they kept. In fact, either they got extra tickets, or they drew more, or they kept all the 4 that they had to start with. So red, that's what I didn't mention before. Red player kept 2. Morka either kept all of them or has gotten more tickets. Green players kept 2 tickets, and blue has kept 3. Another market refresh there. Purple continuing to bridge that gap between Scotland and Greece. Almost like just a big long Orient Express with an extra bit to Scotland and... Purple throwing down Dieppe to Paris, that 1-length train in the middle, as JB Mate, the blue player, continues their route down into Spain. They only have to go 1 more. I can't remember which one it is, but it's only Cadiz or Lisboa. So they've only got 1 more to go down there, but they will need to finish off Essen to Copenhagen. Or get to Stockholm, as I said, I can't remember. Red player is continuing their push towards Moscow, Moskva. Almost there, so they almost have their big long ticket done, and then they'll have to work on getting all the way over here to Frankfurt though. The other thing is to remember is you get 10 points if you have the longest train, so you need to take into account whether that's worthwhile for you to focus on. At the moment, purple's got a good chance of that. Blue's got a good chance of that. If green can connect Petrograd to Kharkov, they've got a good chance of that. Everyone's in for a shout for the longest train at this point. So blue player JB Mate's trying for the big 6-length train between Budapest and Kiev, but it is a tunnel, and they will need to spend 2 extra cards to do it. Do they dare it? They can't afford it, or chose not to do it. So that's unfortunate for blue. Sometimes you can get some bad luck. I posted a little clip up before of me needing 3 extra cards to do it. So maybe they just chose not to pay it. And try again another time. I assume if they had the cards to pay it, they just would have done it though. Purple is throwing in Marseille to Zurich, but they'll need 2 extra cards to do it, which they spent. There's a lot of extra cards being spent on these tunnels. And everyone's getting to the point where they have about 25 trains left, except blue. Blue's still got more than 30. Green's thrown down Moscow to Smolensk, so either they need that themselves, or they know that that's where red is hoping to go, and they've done it to block. There you go, JB mate. Blue player gets the long train down from Budapest to Kiev. Chicken Duck has decided to push on towards Moscow and probably rely on a train station rather than try and go round. Morka is continuing to spread the legs out into Italy, hitting Venice, as Green does Essen to Berlin. Another important route if you just want to go cut from Essen east, because now blue will have to go around. So green players pulling off a lot of moves of maybe being useful for their own routes, but also blocking off others, whereas so far everyone else seems to just be focusing on their own game. And as we sort of hit almost the halfway point in terms of trains left, but probably over halfway, because as I said at the start of the game, people just load up on cards. But pretty much the halfway point with 24 trains left each, except for blue. Red is on 36 points, purple is on 33 points, green is on 38 points, and blue is on 33 points. So pretty even. And everyone's pretty much at the same point with regards to finishing their tickets. None of them look finished, but some Kharkov to Sevastopol I think might be done. But none of them look finished, but they're all almost finished. So we'll see how we go from here. Red throws in Frankfurt to Berlin, which they'll be looking to connect up over in Kiev. Purple's almost finished their long route, throwing in Roma to Brindisi. They just need Dieppe to London now. Another market refresh. A few green cards out there available, hope if anyone needs green. Purple adds on Athena to Smyrna. And green throws in Berlin to Warsaw. So there's an interesting web of green trains here. Not too sure what they're trying to achieve. I assume the long one was Petrograd to Brest, but maybe they just did that for the long train up the top. Maybe that's not what they had. Red's thrown in Warsaw to Kiev. They just need to connect to Berlin to Warsaw, and then they've done both their tickets, but they'll need to throw in a train station to Moscow or go around. Purple added in Smyrna to Constantinople. Again, they're not getting impeded in any way, but a lot of their trains are really short. So even though they're throwing a lot of trains down, they're struggling to get many points out of them. But if that's your tickets, that's what you need. Green has thrown in Moscow to Kharkov, which means pretty much, unless you go a long way around, red will have to throw in a train station at some point. Blue throws in Berlin to Danzig, but they will need to connect it up probably, so there will be a train station coming for them as well, I assume. So purple's not, as I said, purple's not really being impeded. They're just getting a lot of lower scoring routes. Green's all over the board, being a bit of a nuisance for everyone really, except for purple. Red is just getting the job done, and blue is sort of throwing trains down a few different routes at a time, not really getting impeded except for here. So everyone's sort of at different stages of their strategy, I'd say. Blue's thrown down Essen to Frankfurt. as green throws in Essen to Copenhagen. Blue goes Frankfurt to Berlin, so they went the long way around rather than buying a train. Good choice. If you use a train, you lose 4 points at the end of the game, I think. So it's really how it depends how many of your remaining trains you need left. If you need every single one of your trains left, then it's worth throwing in a train station. But if you don't, you may as well go around. Red's thrown in Berlin to Warsaw, finishing their ticket. Again, they'll need a train station or go around to finish their big long one. At this point, there's not many trains left. The tricky part with Ticket to Ride is, do you draw more tickets? You get more points for them. You might be lucky if you've already done them or almost already done them. But at the end of the game, people finish with a flurry. They can go from this many trains left, 13, 16, 13, 17. They can go from that many trains left to none and end the game very quickly. So it is risky to get more tickets, even if you've only got 2. So you need to weigh up. Do you want more tickets, or do you just want to finish with a flurry, get all your trains out, and hopefully it stops other people from finishing their tickets? It's a hard choice to make, because if you do that, you still might lose, because if you've only got 2 tickets and you finish with a flurry and someone with 4 tickets has already finished their 4 tickets, you still might not win. Especially if you don't get the longest train either. Blue is flown down Vienna to Budapest. Red goes Paris to Frankfurt. So they haven't got a ticket that matters for. What they're just doing here is making their longest train longer. Purple is increasing their network into Europe. Venezia to Zagreb. Blue does Danzig to Warsaw. They're going to hopefully look to connect this up and make it one long train, I assume. Green still needs to, either these are completely separate routes and that's just what they're doing, or they're going to need to connect this up at some point. I don't know if they've even kept their long route, because it doesn't look like they're building it. I'm not sure. But they've done Vilnius or Vilno in Lithuania to Petrograd. So they've almost connected up there to make it one long train. Blue has done Warsaw to Vienna, connecting all this up. They've got one long train, so they're in for a shout for the longest train. Green is getting a lot of points just from long routes. They've got a 4 length here, a 4 length here, a 4 length here, the 8 length here, another 4 length here, so they're getting lots of long routes down. Purple's got a lot of trains left, and most of those went towards short routes, so they're going to struggle. Green connects up Vilnius to Smolensk, making theirs one long route, one long train. And they have a lot of points already, 67. Red throws in Brest to Paris, again just making their train longer, not one of their tickets. Purple's thrown in their train station, so obviously they're wanting to get down here, and rather than trying to build cards to get there themselves, they've done the train station. And Green activates the end of the game. They throw in another long train down here, Ezrum to Sevastopol. They've got one long train. They're probably going to get the longest train. They've only got 2 tickets though, so it's a matter of anyone else can challenge them. But everyone's only got 1 turn left. So if the final turn, JB Mate throws down what they need, which is Lisboa to Madrid, which will... if it's Lisboa to Danzig, I think that finishes their long train. But they've got 7 trains left over, which isn't going to help their cause. Chicken Duck throws down the train station that they do need to finish their long ticket, but they've got 7 trains left as well. Purple's got 14 trains left, plus have used 2 train stations. I'm not too sure where they were getting. They must have had a bunch of tickets down here in Spain, because otherwise they wouldn't have needed to do that. But they've got 14 trains left and only 43 points. I don't think they'll be winning. But good effort. You can't get the luck of the draw all the time. And for Green's last turn, they just draw cards. So the final scores... Red does finish both their tickets, finishing on 95. Purple finishes 5 tickets, also finishing on 95. Green finishes 2 tickets, finishing on 101, but the longest train is to come and it will be theirs, I'm pretty sure. Blue finishes, everyone's finished the tickets, finishing on 96, but I think green gets the longest train, which will get them the win. And there it is, 111. Plus we've got train station points to add on. So it was an extremely close game there with train points and tickets themselves. Green just managed to get a few more points out and get the longest train, and that's what got them the win. But other than that, it was very, very close. JB mate did well here, finishing on 108 from scrambling there at the end. Purple needed to use 2 train stations, but they did finish 5 tickets out of it. So it was a worthwhile investment in the end. They lost 8 points for the train stations, but depending what they had. It was pretty much a net 0, because Madrid to Zurich was 8 points, so they gained 8 points, but they lost 8 points for using the train stations. They might have been better off just using those trains to build something somewhere else. Maybe, I don't know. But it was a super, super close game. I think 2 of them finished on 95. One of them finished on 96. The other, Mace, was like 101. So they were all within 6 points of each other. And that was just the longest train, unused train stations, which was the difference. So congratulations to green player, Mace Green. And that was the final of the online Ticket to Ride Europe tournament that we held. We'll be doing more tournaments because we've launched the online board game league, or the OBGL. Basically, they're going to be free turn-based tournaments like this one, but you can accumulate points over the course of a league and a season and see how well you do. You don't have to do all the games. You can do some of them. You can do the ones that you've never played before or you're expert at. It's up to you. But anyway, thanks for joining. Congratulations to the players, especially Green, for winning. And I'll catch you in some other video of some sort. My name's Liam. Goodbye.